what exactly the stock market is and all those things. So today we decided to have a session where we'll discuss exactly how the stock markets work, what the stock market is, why do you invest in a stock market, and all those things. So this will be an interactive session. So all the time we will be talking to each other. It will not be a presentation sort of thing. I'll show some slides and then we'll just look at those slides and listen to my conversation. So this will be interactive. First of all, I would like Vaibhav to come online. I think he is mute. So, so that it will be more interactive.
He's there.
Okay, okay, fine. So
they can put some questions if they
you can put up questions as you think should be relevant at that time only. And in the end also we'll have a question answer session, or else we can go with the flow of the session and continue. So it will be a 1 hour session, right from 16 hours to 17 hours. The last 15 minutes will be for questions and answers as you wish. And in between also you can put up your questions. So I would like to ask you in general, what is your concept of stock market, so that we can start from there. Do you think stock markets, you can put questions in the chat also. Do you think stock markets are good or bad? Good for the person who is investing in the stock markets, bad for the person, good for economy, bad for the economy, good for the government, bad for the government, and good for the companies and bad for the companies. So I would like to ask you this general question. Any answers? So chalo, koi baat nahi. Let us start from the very basics. Exactly what is a stock market? Actually, stock market is a place where you buy and sell stocks. Okay, just as a general market, a mandi. It is a mandi in fact. Mandi mein what you do? You buy and sell chana. You buy and sell vegetables. You buy and sell gold also in the shops, in the mandi, in the malls, in the markets. So stock market is a place where you buy and sell stocks. So what are these stocks? So before we come to the stocks, let's discuss about what are shares. So let us discuss what are shares. Suppose the concept of shares started from very 200 300 years back, where companies wanted to expand. In fact, like suppose I have an idea ki let us put up a petroleum refinery, but I myself have very less amount of money. Okay, I'll ask some of my friends, I'll ask some of my family members to invest in my company and let me start the business, and then I'll share the profits with them. So, but what will happen? I have suppose 1 lakh rupees as on date today. Suppose I today want to start a company. I have 1 lakh rupees, but starting a refinery will be a big task, or even starting a small company, small fertilizer company, small rice processing industry, sugar processing industry, it will be a huge amount of investment. So suppose I have 1 lakh rupees with me. My father can contribute 50,000. My brother can contribute 50,000. So how much it is? 2 lakh. चलो एक और मेरा बहुत अच्छा दोस्त है, वो बोलता है कि मैं भी 2 लाख डालूंगा तुम्हारी कंपनी में स्टार्ट। वो फ्रेंड जो है वो अपने फ्रेंड्स को ही बताता है, अपने सर्कल में भी बताता है, और वो कहता है कि रवि हैज एन आइडिया and Ravi has a brilliant brain. He can start a company and I have full confidence in him. So what happens? There are more contributors. There will be some very uh, very optimistic contributors and some will be skeptic. So उसके फ्रेंड, मेरे फ्रेंड के फ्रेंड बोलते हैं कि यार मैं 1 लाख 2 लाख तो नहीं डाल सकता, 10,000 डाल देता हूँ, चलो रिस्क ले लेते हैं, 10,000 डाल देते हैं। एक फ्रेंड बोलता है कि नहीं नहीं, मैं तो 5 लाख डालूंगा। तुम बोल रहे हो, एकदम सही बोल रहे हो, आई विल पुट 5 लाख इन। So this way, how much money I have collected? Suppose I have collected from friends, their relatives, my acquaintances. So I have got now 20 lakh rupees committed to me. Now this commitment of 20 lakh will not start a fertilizer company. Okay. I need maybe 20 crores. So what I do, I will approach, I will approach of a manager of issues. Now, what this manager of issues will do? He will tell me, you have 20 lakh rupees committed to you and you need 18 lakh more. So let us now advertise this through proper legal procedures, and let us approach some fund houses also and some banks also. The banks will say, see, you have a good idea, but you are an alone person, only one person. Who will be those people who will be helping you in your business, and how will you go about it? So I have some experience in a fertilizer industry, but not the whole experience. So what I'll do, I'll approach a few people from the fertilizer industry, and maybe not even from the fertilizer industry, but some process industry who have some experience there. And I'll form a board. I'll form a board कि we are these 5 to 10 people, and then again I'll approach the bank. तो बैंक के पास जब मैं जाऊंगा तो I'll tell them कि ये these are the experienced people from this industry. So the bank will have some confidence and they will say कि okay, let your manager come up with the issue of shares, and suppose you can collect say 6 crore rupees from those investors who have faith in your company. We will contribute 14 crores, but there will be a caveat. 14 crores वो एकदम से कैसे दे देंगे? वो बोलेंगे कि तुमको collateral रखो, कुछ रखो. There will be some collateral, house, some property. Those things are the collateral. Banks will say, okay, ठीक है, चलो. But there is one more issue that we will not participate in your equity completely. And the fund managers also, they say, we will not participate into your equity completely. We want to contribute to equity as well as debt. Now, debt क्या है? Debt मतलब उनके लिए it is sort of a fixed deposit. Suppose the debt providers are giving you 1 lakh rupees, they will say we want 5% return every year on this 1 lakh rupees till you don't return my 1 lakh rupees. Another thing, why they'll say ki out of 1 lakh, 20,000 is for equity and 80,000 is as debt. Because 80,000 पर मैं गारंटी दे रहा हूं अपनी तरफ से, माई कंपनी, मेरी कंपनी की तरफ से, कि 80,000 पे आपको 5% रिटर्न मिलेगा. बट दैट 20%, 20,000 रुपीज जो है, वो उस पर मैं गारंटी नहीं दूंगा, बट आई विल मेक यू को ओनर ऑफ द कंपनी थ्रू दैट 20,000 रुपीज. इसी तरह से मेरे फ्रेंड भी है, जिसमें से कुछ फ्रेंड कहते हैं कि आई वांट सम फिक्स्ड रिटर्न. ओके, so fixed return but through equity. So it's fixed up that out of suppose that friend is contributing 1 lakh rupees, he will put say 50% in equity, that is ownership, co-ownership of the company, and 50% through debt. But he wants fixed return on the equity also. Fixed return equity pe ho sakta hai. How? Now there are two types of shares, preference shares and जनरल शेयर्स. ओके, प्रेफरेंस शेयर्स क्या होते हैं? प्रेफरेंस शेयर्स पर जो मेरे फैमिली और फ्रेंड्स है, फैमिली मेंबर्स है, फ्रेंड्स है, उनका पैसा लगा हुआ है, वो बोलता है कि मुझे ये जो प्रेफरेंस शेयर्स है उस पर 4% रिटर्न चाहिए. और जनरल शेयर्स है, वो मैं रिस्क लेने को तैयार हूं. ओके, एंड देयर विल बी द बैंक्स हु आर कंट्रीब्यूटिंग shares as well as debt. Generally, the banks will be contributing through general shares. They are not the preference partners because they are able to take higher risk. They don't want completely to burden you. They want co-ownership so that they have a say in the business. Generally, क्या होता है कि the preference shares and general shares holders, they have a say in the company to the extent as per the rules. So the banks, what will they do? They will be co-owner in the company and they will have a say in the company, and even in the day-to-day working of the company, they will be participating. How? Now, the majority shareholder, जिसने ज़्यादा पैसे दिए हैं, majority shareholders, they will appoint a full-time board member or a part-time board member in the company because they want a say in the day-to-day proceedings of the company. They want to keep a watch on the operations. They want to keep a watch on the on your funds. They want to keep a watch on the company. They want to keep a watch on the industry in which the company is doing the business. जैसे मैंने कहा कि फर्टिलाइजर इंडस्ट्री में बिजनेस कैसे चलाना है, क्यों चला, कैसे चलाना है, कब चलाना है, कितना चलाना है, कितना फंड्स कहाँ पे डालना है, हाउ मच you should recruit people in the company, इसके लिए उनका से होना चाहिए. तो देर से कि हमारा भी एक आदमी बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर से बैठेगा. नाउ दिस इज ऑल अबाउट द शेयर. तो अब किसी ने शेयर्स में 20,000 डाला, किसी ने 50 लाख डाला, किसी ने 1 करोड़ डाला. तो 20,000 जिसने डाले उसको मैं अलॉट करूंगा 20,000 डिवाइडेड बाय सपोज 10 रुपए का एक शेयर है, तो हो गया 2,000 शेयर्स उसके, जिसने 20,000 डाला. नाउ जिसने 50 लाख डाले हैं या 1 करोड़ डाले हैं, डिवाइडेड बाय 10, 1 crore divided by 10, that is इसके हो गए 10 lakh shares. 10 lakh shares वाले का ज्यादा ओनरशिप रहेगा कंपनी में. The 10 lakh shareholder will have more ownership in the company, more say in the company naturally by his rights. What are these rights? इसमें voting rights is one of the rights and the say in the company because जिसके 10 लाख शेयर्स है तो वो तो उसका आदमी बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स है, बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स में है. तो वो जो बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स में जो आदमी है वो he will have the say in the company's business. Now ये तो हो गया कि शेयर्स अलॉट हो गए. मैंने एक इनिशियल पब्लिक ऑफर लाया मेरे मैनेजर ने. नेचुरली पब्लिक ऑफर मतलब होता है शेयर्स डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड टू जनरल पब्लिक through an issue. What is an issue? Issue is nothing. Issue is issue of shares. तो इनिशियल पब्लिक ऑफर कहते हैं. इनिशियल पब्लिक ऑफर मैं अपने 10 रुपए का शेयर जनरल पब्लिक को 10 रुपए में का शेयर 10 रुपए में एक शेयर दूंगा और वो अगर अप्लाई करता है 500 शेयर्स तो मैं उसको 5000 रुपीज में 500 शेयर्स दूंगा. इस तरह से अलग अलग शेयर होल्डर्स कंपनी में बन गए. नाउ देयर इज अ ट्विस्ट इन. 10 रुपए का शेयर मैं क्या 10 रुपए में ही दे दूं उनको? इफ दे हैव मोर कॉन्फिडेंस इन मी देन आई विल इशू द 10 रुपीज शेयर इन 12 रुपीज. अगर उनको ज्यादा कॉन्फिडेंस है तो why they will buy 10 rupee share in 12 rupees? Because they have confidence in this company. This company will do well and ये 10 रुपए का शेयर वो 12 तो क्या वो 15 भी हो जाएगा और ऊपर से डिविडेंड will also come. So that much confidence they have because they are shareholders. So they are the co-owners and they are actually having rights to the extent of the shareholding. Come share, come rights, come say, more shares, more say. So that's why you will see in a lot of companies, majority shareholders may be the government, maybe a bank, maybe a fund house, maybe an insurance company. So you will find representatives of these people in the board of directors of such large big companies. In generally many top such companies, but to the extent of the share they will have the same. Now I hope you understand what are the shares. कि एक 10 रुपए मैंने कंपनी में डाले, मेरा एक शेयर हो गया, so I am shareholder in that company. Now अब मैंने इस कंपनी में suppose any XYZ company I have put in 1 lakh rupees and after some time, after say 6 months, I need 50,000 back. So whom to sell this? 50,000 मुझे कहाँ से मिलेंगे? कंपनी मुझे देगी क्या? तो कंपनी डायरेक्टली जनरली नहीं देती है. There are instances कि कंपनी भी दे सकती है, but that is up to the company. Now what will be done कि all these shares of the shareholders will be listed on stock exchange so that the shares can be traded there. Now, what is a stock exchange? Stock exchange is a market where shares are bought and sold. Now, I had invested, suppose 10 lakh rupees I want 5 lakh rupees back. So in general, I'll go to the stock market and try to sell my half of the shares. Suppose half of the shares, 10 रुपये मान लीजिए, half of the shares I want to sell. Now whom to sell? So there will be buyers and sellers in the stock. So there is a third person, Mr. C, who wants to buy these shares. And there is a person, B, who wants to sell these shares. Now the transaction will take place. Transaction means nothing, खरीद फरोख्त. तुम्हें बेचना है, मुझे खरीदना है, तुम बेचो, मैं खरीद लेता हूं, लेकिन मैं 9 रुपये ही दूंगा. He says, Mr. C, who wants to buy the shares, he says कि मैं 9 रुपये ही दूंगा per share. Now this person B, he will say कि I had invested 12 rupees in place of 10 rupees. So how can I sell you in 9 rupees? I will sell you in 14 rupees. Now Mr. B and C are unable to buy and sell. Okay. But there are many buyers and many sellers in the market at any time. If you see companies with big shareholding and a large shareholding base, there will be always buyers and sellers. Suppose, for example, Tata Steel or Infosys Limited or NTPC Limited or Reliance Industries Limited. तो इनके shares हर समय trade होते रहते हैं. Because there is not Mr. B and C in the market, there are practically thousands, hundreds, lakhs of people who want to buy and sell at a time. But these people may not be buying and selling all their shares. They might be buying and selling, say, 10, 20, 30, 100, 500 shares at a time and selling maybe more or less amount of those shares. So Mr. B, he wanted to sell in rupees 14. Mr. C wanted to sell in rupees 9. But others are there who want to buy and sell in rupees 13 and 25 paise, rupees 13 and 30 paise. So the buyer and seller converge towards one price. At a moment in the market, there is only one price at which the shares are being traded. And that price is the price where the buyer, suppose some buyer E, some seller D, they want to buy and sell at 13.25. So the transaction will take place. How much? Mr. C, Mr. D wanted to sell 100 shares at 13.25. Mr. E wanted to buy 200 shares at 13.25. So transaction will take place only for 100 shares. The minimum number of shares where the prices of the buyer and the seller converge and coincide. But this is a very dynamic situation. The prices go on changing because there are other people who want to buy and sell at 13 rupees 30 paise, 13 rupees 35 paise. So this way the transaction will take place and all the buyers and sellers converge to single price where they can buy and sell the share. So this is the stock market, how it works. Now, you will say, why should I go into the stock market to buy shares of 10 rupees in 13 rupee 25 paise? So here is the answer. The person who had bought the 10 rupee shares from the company at 12 at a 12 rupee price, he has sold it in 13 rupee 25 paise because of certain reasons. selling of shares will attract certain reasons. You never go to the market and buy anything. No? You will buy medicines when you require, you buy grocery when you require, you buy rice when you require. And similarly, the seller will sell because he is trading there. वो उसका business है. And he earns the money because he has brought it from some mandi at some price. So he is selling it in his shop, and you are buying from the shop at a certain price arrived at through mutual understanding. Okay. So shares may be ऐसा ही है. So suppose I want the 10 rupee share in 13 rupee 25 paise. What are my expectations and why I did it and why the seller sold it? So generally the seller will be selling shares because he thinks he has already generated a good profit, that is 12 rupees share. He is selling in 13 rupees 50 paise. That is more than 9% income within 6 months. So he is selling it for certain purpose. Okay. He has either earned a lot or he needs the money. मुझे अपने कुछ पैसे निकाल के मुझे कहीं यूज करने हैं, तो I'll sell the shares. And the buyer, why he is buying? The buyer is buying because he thinks at that moment, I have this much of extra money with me, which I should keep it somewhere so that later on, when I need that money, I can sell it and get my money. Okay. But suppose he thinks कि ये 13 rupees 25 paise का share, this will become 13 rupees after 6 months, he will not buy. Okay. So there are contradicting psyche working at one time. The seller thinks he has got the profit. He will book the profit. The profit means he will just sell the shares and take away the profit. And the buyer thinks he will get profited by appreciation of the shares in the due course of time. So what he will do, he will buy the shares and he will think in say 3 months or 3 years, this share is going to give me good returns. So he will buy. Another thing, what the shares do is that they get you good dividend also. Suppose I have bought shares and I think a dividend of 1 rupee per year will be good for me if I buy the shares in 12 rupees. So I'll be happy. So the company, when it starts generating profits, it will keep away some of the profit to distribute as dividend. What is the dividend? Dividend is nothing but profit share. कंपनी को 1 करोड़ प्रॉफिट हुआ, 1 करोड़ में से 10 lakh it will distribute among all the shareholders equally as per the shareholding. So that is called dividend. Dividend is profit share. Now, out of 1 crore, why the company will distribute just 10 lakh dividend? Because it needs that remaining amount, 90 lakh rupees, to reinvest in the company or to keep some of the amount as cash and use it as per the requirement arises in future. So यहाँ पे बात उठती है कि शेयर होल्डर्स बिल से नहीं 1 crore पूरा का पूरा आप जो है वो डिविडेंड में बांट दीजिए. So there are hundreds and thousands and lakhs of shareholders. तो किसकी सुनेगी कंपनी? तो सबकी सुनती है कंपनी. The company organizes annual general meeting generally after the declaration of its results. Results means 3 महीने के बाद, 6 महीने के बाद, 9 महीने के बाद और 1 साल के बाद जो कंपनी का परफॉर्मेंस है, that is being reviewed in annual general meeting. Annual general meeting क्या है? It is a meeting where all the shareholders will converse together and decide over the, discuss over the, and analyze the results of the company, as well as discuss over the future course of the company. There, there are hundreds and thousands and lakhs of people who have gathered there. So, how the decision will be taken? Generally, the decision will be taken based on the majority. Suppose most of the people say कि नहीं, you distribute just 10 lakh rupees as dividend and we have faith in your company. If you can reinvest that 90 lakh rupees and let our company grow more. So a convergence on the issue will be there. How much dividend has to be distributed. So the dividend part is profit, okay? And the remaining portion will be with the company either as some amount safely parked as cash somewhere in some bank or somewhere, and some amount to be invested within a few days or within few months. So that will be that company will start to invest. Now, we'll be muting one of the participants because we are getting some noises. Okay. So now this is the dividend and reinvestment. Now I am a very minority shareholder. I hold suppose just 100 shares in some company. So generally I won't be going to the annual general meeting and I'll say कि क्या करना है 100 शेयर तो है अपने पास. Why to go there in the meeting and waste time and all that? तो मैं नहीं जाऊंगा. तो generally the majority shareholders will be attending the meeting and they will have more say because more of their money is at stake. Now these are the basics ki how the share market works. Now question arises कि एक general citizen है. I am somewhere working as a manager, or I have a small business, I have a small shop somewhere, or even I have a small workshop or a factory somewhere. So how a small shareholder, a small investor can buy and sell shares? So for that, you have to have 3 accounts. One is the bank account. Generally, all people know what a bank account is. One is demat account and one is trading account. ये demat account और trading account क्या होता है? Demat account is like a bank account. In the bank, you keep your money. In the demat account, you keep your shares. And why this trading account? Trading account is required to trade the shares. Now, where the shares are traded? The shares are traded in the stock exchange. So, how can I approach the stock exchange? Through the trading account. Where will I have the trading account? I will have the trading account with a broker who will approach the stock market and will buy and sell the shares on my behalf. And what he will get? He will get some commission. Because for 100 shares, I cannot go to Bombay Stock Exchange or National Stock Exchange to buy and sell the shares. So I'll have a trading account with a broker and a demat account also. And I will give the rights of trading to the broker कि I want to sell 100 shares in 14 rupees today. Okay. So I'll place an order with him. Order मतलब मैंने बोला कि मुझे 14 रुपए में 100 shares बेचने हैं. That is the order. So he will follow the order. He will approach the stock exchange. Now everything is online. Of course, he does not have to approach the stock exchange physically. So he will also, on my behalf, place the order with the stock exchange. Ravi wants to sell 100 shares in rupees 14 per share or 14 rupees. Alternatively, what I think, yesterday the shares were traded at 13 rupees 25 paise and the range was 13 rupees 25 paise. Then again, after 5 minutes, it became 13.30. After 5 minutes, 13.40. Then again came down to 13 rupees and all that. So general range was rupees 13 to rupees 13.50. In which the shares were traded yesterday. So I'll say ki, 14 rupees may be not possible today. It may be possible after a few days. So I'll place the order with the broker. I want to sell 100 shares in 14 rupees in as many days as you can get them. So he will place the order every day for 14 rupees. Now what happens? This 14 rupees rate comes after 15 days. So after 15 days, my shares will be sold in 14 rupees. But suppose that rate does not arrive in 15 days or 1 month, what I'll do? I will reduce my price. I am ready for 13 rupees 60 paise also, or maybe 13 rupees 50 paise also. So this is how the trading and share activities take place in the exchanges. Now, as a small shareholder, what you need a bank account, a trading account, and a demat account. Now, generally, all these services will be provided to you by your broker. You call a good broker. I'll not name too many. I'll name one or two. ICICI Securities is one. Motilal Oswal Securities is another. So there are hundreds of brokers with whom you can open the accounts. Now this bank account has to be linked to the trading account and the demat account so that your trader can put the money into the bank and take out money from your bank, take the shares from your demat account, put the shares into your demat account as per the rights given by you to the broker when you open the account. Now these are the modalities of the market, how it works. Now, why should you buy the shares? तो एक तो मैंने बताया कि appreciation. Second thing is dividend. Shares will appreciate and every share will give me regular dividend, maybe quarterly, maybe half yearly, maybe yearly. I may sometimes not get a dividend at all for 4 years also, but my shares appreciate. That is one thing why I put my money in the shares. Now, why to put the money in shares? Why not buy gold? मैं इन्वेस्ट करना चाहता हूँ, मेरे पास लाखों रुपए हैं. Why do you put your money in the shares? See, there are many ways where you can invest your money. One is just go to the bank and keep the money there in your savings account. Okay. Suppose you are a shopkeeper or a trader, then you will have many trades during the day. As a shopkeeper, you will sell 1 kilo rice to 50 people. So there will be 50 transactions. So the bank will not handle that. Bank will say ki you put your money in current account and will not pay any interest on that because you are having too many transactions and to transact on your behalf itself is costing us a lot. So we will not give you any interest. In the savings account, you get a very minuscule interest depending upon the bank. A good bank will give you lesser interest. A not so good bank will give you a higher interest. But how much? They'll give you in the savings accounts at 3 to 3.5% of interest. So I'll say ki no, I'll do one thing. I'll put my money in a fixed deposit where the bank is giving me 5.5%, 6% interest per year. And if I keep it in some other bank, that will give me 7%. So there is a difference in interest rates depending upon the bank also. One bank will give you 6.5%, one bank will give you 7%, one bank will give you maybe 8%. So this is the fixed deposit where I can earn more interest. Now, why do I need interest on my money? My money is there. I have put money in my bank. It is safe there. That is the first thing why I keep the money in the bank and not at my home. The another thing is I earn interest from that bank also, interest from the money also. Why do I need the interest? I need the interest because in general, if you see in India, आज अगर 1 लाख रुपए है तो 5 साल के बाद this 1 lakh rupees इसका वैल्यू क्या रहेगा? If I am able to buy certain commodities, average my expenditure is 20,000 rupees in a month, then can I maintain the same lifestyle? Can I buy the same thing in the same manner after 5 years from 20,000? No, because of inflation. Generally, in India, there is inflation since last at least 50 years. There were small instances of no inflation also, but that remained for a few days only. आज आपको एक सामान जो मिल रहा है 100 रुपीज में, तो वो 10 दिन तक, 1 महीने तक, मे बी फॉर 6 months वो 100 रुपये मिल रहा है. दूसरा सामान है वो 100 रुपये में जितना मिलता था वो 80 में मिल रहा है. तीसरा सामान है 100 रुपये में जो मिल रहा था तो 150 हो गया उसका. तो एवरेज prices are rising. If you don't go into day-to-day details, you go into the yearly details. Year to year, there will be an inflation, and there has been for last at least 50 years, 100 years, 200 years, there has been generally an inflation due to which you need more money tomorrow than you need today. Tomorrow or next year or after 5 years down the time. So, suppose the inflation is 5% on an average, means the prices in general are rising by 5% an year, you will be wanting returns at least 5% on your money. Okay. So if you get 5% return on your money, you should be happy. Okay. Isn't it? My money has remained as it is. If I put my money in fixed deposit and the fixed deposit is giving me 5% return, in the case of 5% inflation, my money is as it is in the bank. But suppose out of that money, some 20, 30, 40% I put in shares. So what I am doing, I am expecting higher returns than the inflation. Okay. So what my money is doing, my money is earning money for me. Right? Any doubts here? So I put money in equities, that is the shares in the stock market. So now, is there any guarantee that my money in the stock markets will always go on rising? No, there is no guarantee. So what I am doing, I am taking risk. I am taking risk of my money. And so that's why I am not putting all my money in the equities, in the shares, and I am putting some of my money in the equities and the shares. So how much should I put in equities and shares? ये एक बहुत बड़ा question है. And when should I start putting my money and how much I should put my money in shares? So I'll give you a small thumb rule. The early you start investing in the equity markets, the more you get. How? In general, it has been found that the stock markets are rising in India since last 40 years and giving higher returns than the fixed deposits or the other deposits in the banks. So that's why people put some of the money in the stock markets, invest some of the money in the stock markets. So what I am doing? I am earning some money from my job, from my business, and I am putting that money, some of my money in the stock markets and remaining in some other deposits like recurring deposit or a fixed deposit. And I expect that my fixed deposit money or the recurring deposit money will grow at a fixed rate, certain fixed rate, and my stock market money will rise at a higher. That is my expectation. Why these expectations? These expectations are are the outcome of what our stock markets in general have done in the previous 40, 50 or 100 years. Now, a question arises. In the last 3 years, somebody says, my money has come down in the stock market. I have put a certain amount of money. I had invested certain amount of my money in shares. It has come down. The value has come down. The answer is, if you look at the stock markets from 1 month, 6 months, 1 year, or 2 year point of view, then certainly it will be very difficult to judge what the stock markets are doing. So you need to ask those people who have kept their money in the stock markets for 5, 10, 20, 40 years. So in general, the stock markets are going up, but that is the previous past. Future में इसकी guarantee है? There is no guarantee. Is there guarantee? is there any guarantee about what will happen the next moment? No. So what you are doing, you are taking risk and you are expecting higher returns on your partial amount, not the complete amount. Now someone will say, I'll put my fixed deposit. I'll open a fixed deposit with certain company which is giving me 9% returns, which is committing 9% returns, and not with the company which is committing 5.5 or 6% returns. So why don't all the people go to the bank which is committing 9% returns per annum? Because you don't have that much of faith on those banks who are committing higher returns. They give higher returns, but there have been instances of some weaker banks which could give higher returns for a few years and then they just collapse. Okay. So in the fixed deposits with a lower income, a lower interest rate, generally more people will be interested. Same applies to the equities. In certain companies, if you buy the equities, they are appreciating more than the equities in some other companies. They are appreciating less and some are depreciating also, and even there are instances of bankruptcy of some companies. So what you will do? Equity मुझे खरीदना है, मुझे higher returns चाहिए, so how much I should invest and in which companies? How much? I'll tell you a thumb rule and when to start investing. So the early you start investing, suppose you are just 22 or 25 years of age and out of your income you are able to put 5,000 rupees in equity market, then start doing it and do not expect immediate returns. You have to keep your money in the stocks for a longer period. Now, one way to keep the money in the stocks is to distribute the money into various stocks. So generally, how many companies I'll be putting my shares into? 5, 10, 20, 100? But what if the money in these 100 companies doesn't appreciate? So there is a risk. So like tod, there is a solution to this. I will not put money in equities directly. What I'll do, I'll put my money in the mutual funds. Now, what is a mutual fund? Mutual, excuse me. Mutual funds are funds where you put your money in many companies. Now, how it works? Mutual funds are run by the mutual fund houses through their mutual fund managers. ये म्यूचुअल फंड करता क्या है? म्यूचुअल फंड करता क्या है? They will take the money from you. Suppose I am ready to invest in a certain fund, 100 rupees, 500 rupees or 5,000 rupees a month. They will take 5,000 rupees from me, okay? But someone else wants to invest just 50 rupees a month. Okay, they will take the 50 rupees from him. There is a third person who wants to put in 1 lakh rupees at one time and doesn't want to buy that fund for next 5 years, and he he will need the money after 5 years only, and he'll try to sell that fund. So what these mutual fund managers will do, they will collect the money as per the contribution from different shareholders, smaller, medium, bigger, very big shareholders, very big investors. They'll collect the money and put into securities. Now, which securities they will put the money into? So that depends upon the fund. There are various types of funds. To name a few: liquid fund, equity fund, hybrid fund. A liquid fund is a debt fund which puts the money into short-term securities through day-to-day transactions with various banks or various fund houses. But that will gain only a limited fixed returns. An equity mutual fund, what they'll do, they'll put the money in equities. Of how many companies? Of many companies. Maybe 30, 40, 50 companies, depending upon the type of fund it is operating. That particular fund. A fund house will be operating 3 kinds of funds. So one fund may be large cap equity fund. One fund may be a small cap equity fund. One may be a mid cap equity fund. One may be IT sector fund. One may be a hybrid fund. So the details you can see anywhere, how these funds are putting their money into. So as the new evolution, there is a question coming from Pranav. Has the new evolution Atmanirbhar Bharat affected stock market? Are Indian companies performing well than before? Now, this is a very general question. I'll come to it later. Presently, we'll see how the fund markets operate or how the stock markets operate, how you should invest your money and for how long and how much. So now we were into the various mutual funds. So what I am doing by investing my money into mutual funds, I am distributing my risk into various equities. All right. How much money that mutual fund will put, what proportion into which company will be decided by the fund manager. From time to time, they will be reviewing the situation, and accordingly, they will take the decision to put your money into certain equities. So here, what I am expecting 2 things. One is security of my money, another is appreciation, and third thing is dividend. If I put the money in the dividend funds, I'll expect certain return to come to me regularly. Maybe sometimes some money will come every 10 days. Okay, so how it comes every 10 days? Kuch paise aa rahe? Because different companies, there are suppose 30, 40 companies, and each company declare some dividend on their equity shares at 3 months. So how many dividends will be there? 30 companies into 4 quarters of the year, that is 120 dividends. So those 120 dividends will come to my account one by one every 3 days. Twice a week, I'll have some money in my account. So this is how the mutual funds operate, and what the mutual funds are, and why you should put your money in the stock markets, mutual funds. You can directly buy the shares. There is no doubt there are good companies where you should buy the shares. and you can keep the shares for years together and you get returns. But suppose I have a full-time job. I have a job which asks me to work for 10 to 12 hours. I don't have time to analyze each and every share and then put my money in the stock markets and then not able to analyze at the end of the day, or maybe in the weekend also, I cannot analyze the company completely. So I will risk my money with the mutual fund houses and I'll let them decide. Now, another thing is how much of money I should put into mutual funds or shares and at what period and when should I start investing. Suppose I am earning some money and I am able to invest 500 rupees a month, I should start investing 500 rupees a month with some good equity shares or some mutual funds. So earlier you start, it is better because today I have the capacity of 500 rupees a month. Tomorrow my salary will rise, my income from the services I am providing or the goods I am selling is rising. So I start putting 1000 rupees a month. After 1 year, say, I'll start putting 500 rupees in one mutual fund and 500 rupees in another mutual fund. So I will review my situation, my income, my investment, my requirement of the day, my money available, and the risk I can take with the money I want to invest. So in general, I have a formula, thumb rule. If your age is 25, so 25% of your money should be with the low risk instruments like fixed deposit, like debt funds, and other recurring deposit. But 75% I should invest out of the 5,000 rupees I am able to invest for long term. I should invest 3,750 rupees in the equity of good companies or through mutual funds of through the mutual funds which are investing that money in equities. As your age rises, you should reduce your risk and exposure to the equities. Why? Because after certain age, you want more safety of your money and lesser returns. Because in the stock markets, in the short term, the stock markets can go up and down, and the day you need the money, you will see कि अरे 3 साल में तो ये कुछ बढ़ा ही नहीं, 3 साल पहले बेच के मैं FD में डाल देता तो अच्छा होता. So as your age grows, suppose you are 50, your equity base should be 50% and debt base should be 50%. So that is one thumb rule. Now coming to the question of Atma Bharat. See, this is a very good initiative taken by our government. Why? Because we were dependent upon lots of goods and services on the foreign providers. So the profit which was generated by them was out of Indian people's money. Okay. With the advent of Atma Bharat, to the extent possible, even if we are able to produce those goods or the alternative goods or those services or equivalent services at even 5 to 10% more cost, it should ultimately benefit us only. How? Because the money generated by Indians will remain in India and will be reinvested in India and will be distributed for the benefit of the complete society as a whole through investments in infrastructure, in the benefits towards the benefit of startups, towards the subsidies for startups, towards the subsidies for certain industries. So Atma Bharat will not affect us within a few days. This is a long-term process where we should start participating from today. Today means 5th August. So start participating in the equity markets on today's day through, after this workshop is over, try to analyze the workshop, try to take decisions, and that is it. The good beginning will be the work half done. So आज ही से सोचना शुरू कर दीजिए. And I hope you are all lucky here that your brain to some extent has started working in that direction. And one thing is very important. Don't look at it from short-term point of view. Short-term angle will not fetch any results. आज मैं एक शॉप ओपन करना चाहता हूं तो first I have to invest, then I'll buy the property or rent a property. There I'll have contracts with the traders. I'll get the goods and I'll start selling after 3 months. ये इतना फास्ट तो होगा नहीं. So start looking at the markets with that direction, with that point of view, and start investing from today. We have another question from Pranav. Tata Motors shares have a return rate of 36.4% today. Is it due to same reason that people are focusing more on Indian brands? There is a mixed answer to this question. The question is in two parts. One thing is the appreciation and one thing is people's futuristic view about the Indian brand. So there is a mixed answer also. It will be analytical. See, one day movements in certain share will be due to some news on, or sometimes some big investor wanting to make more money by buying the stocks from the markets, and in the process what happens, he buys on buying the shares to the extent of his requirement, to the extent of his budget, and the shares prices will rise. How the share prices will rise? Suppose 100 shares are there for sale at a particular 100 rupees. 100 more shares are there for sale at 101 rupees. So like that, there are 100 shares available to be sold at 140 rupees. Okay. The purchaser, the big purchaser, he wants to buy 100 shares at the price available. 100 into 40. He wants to buy 4,000 shares at whatever price it is available today. 40% बढ़ेगा. But he has a bigger view because he has analyzed the market. He has futuristic intelligence with him more than what we as a general investor have. So We have put our money, put our shares to be sold at 100 to 140 rupees, and the 140 rupees person also got his 140 rupees into 100 shares, and one person who wanted to sell in 100 rupees also got his 100 shares sold at 100 rupees because he wanted 100 rupees only today. So he got his 10,000 rupees. Now that big shareholder, that big investor, he is looking at the market from a longer term point. We had our own reasons in selling those shares. He had a longer point of view. He wants to put the money of his company or from his pocket because he's a big investor, or from his fund which he is managing. Mutual fund manager मैंने बताया था. So he will put his money at whatever price it is available today. The shares are available today, and he is expecting very higher returns in the coming days and coming years. Generally, a big fund manager will not put a lot of money in one day unless he has got some intelligence from the company itself. So the appropriate term will be insider intelligence, because sometimes they, आप चाहे ना चाहे, they have friends everywhere. Okay. I am working, suppose, in Tata Motors. So I'll be chit chatting, and suppose I am having a news. So the news is leaked. The Tata Motors is going to take such a decision in a few days. So during the chit chat, I am telling some certain friend, and that certain friend has a friend who is a mutual fund manager, okay, or who is just a big investor. So he will tell the news to him. Now, how much of this news is true or not depends upon their own friendship and their own analysis, their own appreciation of the news. So this way the news sometimes leak, and sometimes the news come even on the public portal. Okay, so the stocks react to the news available on public portal. There will be news which will be passed on through intelligence. So that way, there are two answers to this question. One is some intelligence report they are having, the buyers had appreciated, and another thing is something regarding a boost up, something regarding a boost up is there on which that person is or the fund manager is having faith. Why he wants to buy so many shares of Tata Motors. But tomorrow it may come down. So don't do it for 1 day or 2 days. There are ways to do it, but that will be for some other day. And yes, we have covered how much you should invest, what you should invest, where you should invest, at what age, at what periods, and how much. We all covered that. I think that makes it for the day. Any questions? If you have regarding this, we can discuss it. Yes. The question is from Pranav again. Why is companies owned by Anil Ambani are facing tremendous loss? The return rate is just seeing a loss since years now. Also, he's bankrupt. So, is there any scope buying shares in his companies for long term, or is it a bad idea? See, it is never a bad idea to invest in certain companies when the shares come down. But again, that idea should be based on some analysis and some hard facts. Now, what are the hard facts? Hard facts are the industry in which the company is doing the business, the managers who are handling the business, the advisors to the managers who are handling the business, the intention of the managers, and the risk-taking appetite of the investors. Now, these all things come together and bring the stock value to certain price. So, if the sentiments are bad about the company, if the analysis of the analysts shows if this is not going to perform, the shares will slowly come down. But sometimes there are strategic decisions taken by some strategic investors, and they put in and pour in money into that stock, into that company, and the shares start appreciating. Now, the case of Idea Vodafone, it is being traded on daily basis on the stock markets. Some people have stayed invested in Idea Vodafone to the extent of course, their risk-taking appetite. Maybe somebody is having 100 shares there, somebody is having 1 lakh shares there, because the risk-taking appetite is different for different people. So why they are invested? There are people who are buying also. There are people who are selling at 8, 9 rupees. But there are people who are buying also at 8, 9 rupees. So why the people who are buying at 8, 9 rupees are buying? And why the people who are selling at these rates are selling? Because they have totally different opposite ideas about the company's future. Maybe the people who are buying, they have some more knowledge about the company, more intelligence about the company. Some strategic investor is coming in where the share prices will start shooting up, and maybe in 1-2 years will become 20 rupees. Who knows? Sometimes the share appreciate to double within a few days. Sometimes they become half within a few days. So personally, if you take my advice, you can buy the shares of any company. Why only Idea Vodafone? Any company to the extent of your risk-taking appetite. But again, my advice will be, do not buy shares of those companies who had been performing bad since last few years, and you don't have any intelligence or you don't have any knowledge about what the company is going to do in the next few years. You should not put the money directly into those equities, but you should put your money through mutual funds. What's the time?
It's over now.
Okay, so if we don't have any more questions, we can say goodbye and all the best to all of you. And is the BTST technique effective? This will be the last question to be taken up, because there will be a lot of questions in your minds, always, certainly.
Next we will take.
So this question BTST is buy today, sell tomorrow. This is for traders. Okay. There are investors and there are traders. Investors, what they'll expect? They'll expect good returns in 5 to 10 years or even 1 year. They are investors. Traders want good returns within a few days, within a few hours, or within a few minutes also. BTST is buying today and selling tomorrow or the next trading day. So suppose somebody has good insider news, good intelligence news, or there is some news on the public portal also on the TV or in the newspapers. This is going to happen with the company. So he will buy some shares today in 100 rupees. He will think it will become 101 tomorrow. So he'll buy at 100 and sell in 101. He will on 1% profit in a day and he'll go back to his home happy. So it depends upon how much your risking appetite is and how much money you have.
So thank you so much for attending. So I think we will now close it. Thank you so much. Okay.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks for participating.